Incineroar, go!
My name is Sniping is Fun. I welcome you all back to the official 14th character in this series of videos talking about Super Smash Bros. 5 newcomer ideas. And this time, we are jumping back into the realm of Pokemon with another Generation 7 Final Evolution starter in Incineroar. I talked about Decidueye about 4 or 5 characters back, and about why they made sense to be a newcomer for the next Smash Bros. Game. This time I'm going to talk about basically essentially their rival, the other major popular new, Pokemon starter from Gen 7. Sorry, whatever the water thing's name is, I'm sorry. The mermaid thing, I'm sorry. I would definitely put Incineroar and Decidueye above its final evolution. And basically being the fire versus grass and blah 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 and Pokemon, whatever, and fire types are super popular, there you go. As a possibility for the next Smash Bros. Game. And then I'm not trying to degrade the water Pokemon, and I can't remember its name. I'm sorry, all the fans of it. It's going to be a character in this future part of this list. But I'm talking about Incineroar now, the final evolution of Litten from Alola, from Sun, Moon, Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon, whatever. Giant Wrestling Tigermon. And just like with all the other ones, 3 different categories. Why do they make sense to be in Smash Brothers? Moveset ideas and percentage chance I can see them in. So let's get that started with why do I think Incineroar makes sense to be in the next Smash Bros. Game. I'm going to kind of have the same reasons that I put for Decidueye to represent Generation 7, to represent Sun, Moon, Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon, to represent Alola. Chances are we're probably going to get a Pokemon from that generation if they decide to represent Generation 7, unless it gets screwed over, just like all the other odd number generations, 5 and 3, which never got Smash Brothers characters at all. But if they decide to represent Generation 7, it's pretty much between, in my opinion, Decidueye and Incineroar. But, But I think that's the reason why Incineroar might be picked. It is a popular starter. Second to Decidueye, I think Decidueye is like the most popular starter, Final Evolution. But I think Incineroar is the next favorite. And I know a lot of people don't like fighting Pokemon, fire Pokemon now, but it's like it's not really fighting for sure. It's a dark fire. It has some fighting moves in it. So it's a dark Pokemon. And I would say to represent another fire Pokemon, which is a popular Pokemon type. I know it doesn't give it as much originality and fits the starting trio like Decidueye would do for Charizard and Greninja. But if they wanted to add another fire Pokemon, I think at this point, Incineroar is like the likely next choice. He doesn't have as much going for him like Decidueye, who was in Pokken Tournament and is a grass-type starter and is like most popular of the Alolan starters, but he's like the second most popular Alolan starter, Final Evolution, and people love fire Pokemon. He gives us a dark-type Pokemon, which I don't think we really have yet. I don't think any of the Pokemon we have so far in Smash Bros. Is a dark type, or at least not a full-blown dark type. I think Lucario comes close. And it's a popular starter, second most popular. It represents Generation 7 if they want to represent Generation 7. It's another fire Pokemon, dark type, and that's basically why I think it makes sense to be in. Not as many good reasons as Decidueye, but it's like right there below. Like here's Decidueye and here's Incineroar. So if they don't want to do Decidueye and they want to represent a Alolan Pokemon, Incineroar is my next obvious choice. And that's why I feel it makes sense. It's like simplistic in reason. I know I'm not really going into super detail like some of these characters, but you don't really have to go super detail on Pokemon. It's a new Pokemon, a new starter type, or whoever the most important, popular push Pokemon from that generation is. And unless Generation 8 comes out and just goes crap, and decides to kick Generation 7 out like Generation 6 did to Generation 5 and Generation 4 did to Generation 3, unless we get both, we're probably not going to see Alolan Pokemon. But if we don't get Generation 8, we might get hopefully a Generation 7, and Incineroar makes some sense. And give me 1 second to go get the paper. Crap. Incineroar. Now, moveset ideas. The second category, moveset ideas. What do I think, would make sense for Incineroar to have moves? Like with Decidueye, I said focus on like being a bird, being an owl, pecking with the beak and the claws and wing flaps and the bow and arrow type stuff for smash attacks, and then ghost and flying type stuff and grass type stuff for his his special attacks. For here, I'm gonna kind of do the same thing. Like make the Make the smash attacks very basic for Incineroar, like wrestling moves, fighting moves, like the fighting attacks and the like normal moves, like basically like scratch and bite, double kick, fury swipes, cross chops, like the throat chop, stuff that's kind of like wrestling, stuffing that's kind of like fighting. He's supposed to be a giant fire, like lion cat thing wrestler, so focus on it being like a wrestling cat fire Pokemon thing. And Darkest Lariat, and like, you know, stuff that's kind of like more fighting, more normal, and maybe some throw in some of the dark moves in there. And then with the special attacks, you focus on the fire moves and some dark attacks probably, but I'd say focus on mostly the fighting moves, the normal moves, and some dark attacks in the smash attacks, such as, like I said, Scratch, Bite, and Double Kick. And special attacks focus especially on fire moves and some dark moves too, but like fire moves, like throwing the flamethrower and the fire fang, where he bites you and catches you on fire, and ember and stuff like that. Stuff that you would see, you know, stuff that you would see Charizard do basically, or yeah, like both in Brawl and Smash Bros. 4, like standard fire moves, like flamethrower, you can charge it up and he shoots fire out of his hand or whatever, or fire fang, you bite someone and catch them on fire and burn them, or ember, which is just standard flame type stuff. So there you go. And then maybe a couple of the more of the dark moves he does. I'd say focus on some of the dark moves like Throat Chop in the smash attacks, but then put in a few other dark moves, like the bigger, more dangerous dark moves alongside Flamethrower, Fire Fang, and Ember in the special attacks. So that's what I'm saying. Split it up a little bit more, make more of the fighting normal moves with some dark in the smash attacks, and then focus a lot more on fire with some dark moves and special. So you differentiate his typing up between smash attacks and special attacks especially. And in terms of a final smash, I would say, just like with Decidueye, I give them their most dominant like move from their type. I forgot what I picked specifically for Decidueye, but I picked like the biggest, most strongest grass type move that it learns in the games. So I picked here the most biggest, strongest move from the fire type moves that Incineroar can learn, and it's going to be Flare Blitz, where it's going to shoot big major fire out, hit the opponent, and it catches them in this big gulf of flame. Like, think like the Mario finale from like Mario, and it gives the opponent a burn status effect for like a minute. Like, they are going to be burned for a minute up until after the final smash. They get caught in it, get massive damage, and I think since fire gives, I would say give a status effect. Like, I'm surprised that they never really try to do that too much with Pokemon moves. Burn the opponents. Anyone that's caught in it will have a burn status effect for about 30 seconds to a minute, where they will continually get like a % damage every like second until the burn gets off, unless they, you know, decide to kill themselves and jump off the stage, or you know, maybe they can get a health item, maybe I could balance it out and stop it, or balance out the burn effect. But I think it'd be kind of cool to give the burn effect. The Flare Blitz, you know, Incineroar just engulfs the stage in fire. It's a big giant flame attack, catches them in it, and if you're caught in it, not only do you receive damage from the attack, you receive temporary damage afterwards because you get burn status effect. And I think that'd be kind of cool. Now, in terms of % chance, the third category, I can see Incineroar getting into Smash Brothers. I'm going to say 85%. 5% less than Decidueye, because if they decide to pick a Generation 7 Pokemon, I think Decidueye is the most likely choice because he's the most pushed from that game, you know, from that entry in the series. He's in Pokken Tournament. He's a grass type. They heavily push him. He's in the anime and all that other stuff. Like, they heavily push Decidueye more so than Incineroar. But he is right behind it, and if they don't pick Decidueye, he's like the next best choice for an Alolan Generation 7 Pokemon. So given an 85% chance, he's right beneath Decidueye. Decidueye is the more likely choice, but he's right there below it. And I think he makes sense to be in it as well. And that's basically my thought process on that. Oh, that's how you drop again. And that is my 14th character on this list. We are going to make it to 15 next time, where I talk about yet another Xenoblade character, and this one is a character I've been heavily pushing since the days of Smash Bros. 4, Elma from Xenoblade Chronicles X. But put in the comments what you guys think. My name is Simon Fun. Please subscribe if you want to. What do you guys think about the Incineroar moveset ideas? What moves would you give him? What like reasons do you think he should make sense to be in? What do you think about my reasons? What % chance would you give him? Would you give him 85% like me? Someone else, higher, lower, whatever the heck else? Put in the comments below. See you all later. Incineroar, go! It didn't work.